Hello everyone, I'm Kurt Sullivan. A very good evening and welcome to What's On, your daily guide to everything going on all over our city. Stay tuned to find out what's happening in the world of music, sports and everything in between. We've a packed show for you this evening and it's definitely one for the theatre goers amongst you, as I'll be talking to the directors of the Midland Players Amateur Dramatic Society about their brand new productions of Sue Townsend's Groping for Words and Woomerang. Catherine North and Phil Ashton will be joining me in the studio to tell us all about it. Later on tonight, we'll also be taking you on a tour of the UK's longest-running open digital arts lab, and it's right here in Sheffield. Access Space creates opportunities for businesses, the local community, and anybody wanting to get involved in anything from design to computers, but particularly the combination of both. With a brand new relaunch and a full catalogue of events for the years to come, the creative producer of the charity, Jake Harries, speaks to Sheffield Live about their new venture and how you can get involved. That's all for later. Right now, it's time to see what you could be getting up to over the next few days across Sheffield, and there's no better way to start than with some lovely live, loud music. We'll start at Corporation. The venue plays host to Scarlet Riot. The Scunthorpe-born rock and roll band take to the stage tomorrow, and you'll be sure to hear tracks from their brand new EP entitled Rising. Tickets are just £5 and things get underway from 6:30. If you prefer your nights a little quieter and perhaps a little more classical, then look no further than La Serenissima. Head on down to St Marie's Cathedral and you'll find yourself transported to the beautiful city of Venice with music from Antonio Vivaldi, Montanari and Pidendel, led by violinist Adrian Chandler. The night of violins and cellos gets underway at 7:30 this evening and tickets are £16.50. Finally, head on down to the Royal Standard for a free night of music. On Saturday, you can watch The Recruits, Scribble Victory and Connor Bean take to the stage from 9. I'm just trying to decide which of those I want to go to myself. I'll have a think. In the meantime, let's see what we've got in our arts and culture listings this week. You'll have to hurry for this one. The Sarah Kane series of plays at the Crucible Studio Theatre comes to an end this weekend, so it's last chance to grab yourself a ticket for that. Take your pick between Crave, the story of 4 unnamed voices who begin a poetic ode to love, or 448 Psychosis. This one described as a portrait of a mind in acute despair where fragments of pain and anger are interspersed with shouts of piercing humour. Sounds very interesting. Tickets start from £15 and the plays run till Saturday. Definitely one not to be missed this weekend. If you're aged 14 to 19, you might want to head down to the Crucible Theatre yourself this weekend. On Saturday, the Young People's Play Reading Group are discussing After Juliet by Sharman MacDonald. From 5 p.m, you'll get the chance to read through and discuss the ins and outs of MacDonald's play. And if you didn't already know, Sheffield is in the midst of the Festival of Debate. Everything from immigration to rising rent is being discussed, debated and then discussed some more. With more than a month to go before it all winds down, there are still plenty of events to go and plenty of opportunities for you all to get involved. Not least this very weekend. Tomorrow from 7:30 at the Theatre Delicatessen is the Info Wow with Ideological Warfare. Now, if this sounds interesting, this session will explore the concept that contemporary politics is, and I quote from the festival's website, a funless void of austerity measures, benefit rows and 0 hours contracts. To derive humour from this is to shriek petulantly into the face of the abyss. Sometimes comedians just need to play the hand they're given. If that sounds interesting, this one's £5 on the door and features Chris Coltrane. Head down and see what it's all about. Now it's time to head to Access Space, Sheffield's open digital arts lab, heading in a brand new direction. We went along yesterday to see what was going on ahead of a brand new relaunch of events and their digital 3D direction. We talked to creative producer Jake Harries.
Access Space has been open since the year 2000. It's an arts and education charity. And we're also an organisation that's very interested in new technology and the uses of new technology. So we try and bring people together, people who are interested in dabbling with computers and code and Arduinos and Raspberry Pis and things like that, and artists also, whatever their practice is, whether it be painting, whether they want to kind of introduce some kind of electronic parts into their work, performers, musicians, particularly live coders. That's musicians who make music by performing with code live. And actually, this Friday we've got a thing called an Alga Rave on, which is organised by live coder Alex McLean. And it's a kind of techno disco night. Maybe six performers, I think. And it's going to be really good fun.
There's been quite a radical change in Access Space and the way it wants to operate, and even the way it looks. And now you've made it a much more open area. What's the thinking behind that?
The idea of the space, if you've been in here before, you've been into the Access Space Media Lab, which is actually this room here. We've changed it, we've redeveloped it completely, and the reason for that is we need a much more flexible space. We're going to have club nights in it, we can have sonic performances, we can have art exhibitions, workshops, meetings, seminars, you name it. So what we're really up for at the moment is to really diversify the kinds of activities that we can put on in here, and also hire the space to people who want to do lots of different things too. As every charity out there knows, as anybody who knows anybody who works for a charity, it's a very tough funding environment now. And we want to change that. We want to become a bit more business oriented. That is, we want to have services and space we can hire to people as well, to help us through this quite difficult time.
You've got a lot of hidden passageways and rooms at the back of this building that are all for different purposes. Take us through some of those.
In here we have 3D printers, we have a laser cutter, and we have a CNC router. We have an embroidery machine, a digital embroidery machine. We have a craft cutter for things like paper and vinyl. So there's a huge amount of stuff that you can make. And we also have ordinary workshop tools, because actually when you make your stuff on the computer, it's very likely you'll be making it in parts and you need to put it all together. Like behind you here, I don't know if you can see, that there's some shelving. That was designed by an architect actually, and they made it on the CNC router. And that's a prototype for something he was developing for a commercial product.
If anyone's out there now thinking, how can I get involved? Is there a way that someone can start right from the bottom and sort of learn their way up and get involved in something?
Absolutely. Go to our website, go to our Facebook page, sign up for our mailing list. There's going to be a lot of different things on. Some of them will be free, some of them will cost a little bit. As a charitable organisation, we do this with people who have had a pretty hard time, people on the kind of like verges of society, people with mental health problems, and maybe learning difficulties like Asperger's. And take them through a whole series of activities which hopefully will lead them to discover what it is they actually want to do. If people want to come and talk to us, email us, phone us up. You know, get on the mailing list, find out the kind of things that we're doing, look at the Facebook page, and look at the activities, and just come down to one of these things. Come and talk to us.
That was Jake Harries from Access Space, and if you're at all interested in anything we've just shown, head on down there and get involved. Now it's time to look at what's going on in the community. If you fancy getting out and about this weekend, head on over to Nether Edge Farmers Market on Sunday from midday. Go along and sample some local delicacies. And if you like it enough, dip into your pocket and buy some. After all, it's payday for many this weekend. Expect music, craft stalls, local performers, plenty of activities for the young and old, and much, much more. Let's hope the weather holds out for this one. Next up is something I think I would be absolutely terrible at, but there may be some of you out there thinking you want to give this a go. Ecclesall Wood's craft courses are holding a wood sculpture session on Saturday from 9:30, running all day through to 4:30. Against the Grain invites people of all ages and abilities to come down and try their hand at sculpting whatever they like. Simon Kent, whose work has been prominently featured across the local and national TV, radio and newspapers, will be leading the session. Again, that's at Ecclesall Wood's craft courses, and you can book your place now for £95. Finally this week, in our community section, it's one for the bookworms amongst you. Get yourselves over to Walkley Library this Saturday from 10 through till 1, where you'll find more books than you can shake a stick at their book sale. All proceeds go towards the running of the library. And that's just some of the many ways you can all get involved with the Sheffield community this weekend. On to the sport now, and it's a busy weekend ahead. Basketball first, and the Sheffield Sharks play host to the Durham Wildcats tomorrow night at the English Institute of Sport. The Sharks are closing in on a playoff place after beating the Plymouth Uni Raiders last week. It all gets underway tomorrow at 7:30. On to ice hockey, and the Sheffield boasts one of the best ice hockey teams in the country, I think anyway. If you get down to the Motorpoint Arena for 7 on Saturday, you can see the Steelers take on the Cardiff Devils. The event will also include the annual teddy bear toss in aid of Fountaindale Sen School, a specialist school helping youngsters aged between 3 and 19 with physical and sensory needs, which is raising money for new equipment. A great cause. And lastly, the Sheffield Tigers rugby union team take on Huddersfield. Now, the Tigers have won their last 8 games and will be looking to extend that winning run. You can head on down to the Dormoor on Hathersage Road for that one, and that gets underway on Saturday from 3. Right then, we're now joined in the studio by Catherine North and Phil Ashton, the directors of the latest productions from the Midland Players Dramatic Society. On the 25th, so next Wednesday, the Society will take to the stage to perform 2 plays written by the late Sue Townsend, Groping for Words and Woomerang. They're here to tell us all about it. Good afternoon, welcome to Sheffield Live.
Thank you for having us.
I see you're all getting ready there. So
Yeah.
you're ready to tell us all about these 2 plays. How long have yourselves been involved in the society?
Well, for myself, it's been about 5 years approximately. I was with another group before, but I was attracted by Midland and by the diversity of material that they were doing, and taking on some very, very interesting plays in the time I've been with them, and probably none more so than the 2 we're going to be presenting next week.
Yeah, I've been with them probably about 7 years now, and just found them not long after joining, moving to Sheffield, and yeah, looking for something to do with my time, and thought I'd get back into theatre, having not really kind of done that since school.
Brilliant stuff. So tell us more about each of the plays that are coming up next. Phil, you're directing Groping for Words.
Yes.
What's that all about?
Well, first, it's absolutely one of my favourite plays. The thing I like about it is that I had the opportunity to act in it some years ago, and kind of fell in love with the piece from there. It's about literacy, or more specifically about illiteracy, and how it affects the 4 central characters within the play, and how their opportunities are stymied by their lack of literacy. So it's a very socially aware play, but it's also a comedy as well. It's first and foremost a comedy, and the comedy is sort of very much underlined by the poignancy of some of the scenes as well. So you've got plenty of contrasts in between there. You've got some very, very believable characters as well, very, very well-drawn characters. And it's all set in a single setting around an adult literacy class that happens during the evening within a school, a Victorian schoolhouse.
I mean, that play sounds enough just on its own. But we've got 2 plays. We've got 2 plays going on next week. Catherine, you're directing Woomerang.
Yes. It's 2 plays because Groping for Words is a short play, and we wanted to make sure we gave audiences a full evening's entertainment. So Woomerang is much shorter, just a 1-act play. It's set in the waiting room of a gynaecology clinic. We haven't said these are both set in about 1982. Yes. So there's quite a lot in that. Although there's a lot of female characters and some great characters there, it isn't kind of just about women issues in that sort of way. There's plenty kind of considerations of politics and things that are very relevant at the minute, obviously, as we're getting so close to the election. Kind of the impact of the early Thatcher years, unemployment, poverty, those sorts of things. But again, first and foremost, a comedy. It's really funny. I've seen it. I can't even count how many times I've seen them do it in rehearsal now, and how many times I've read it outside of that. But I'm still laughing. So I think there's some real current relevance, but equally they're both just very funny plays. So even if you don't care about politics and kind of those sorts of things, you can just come and have a good night, really.
Is that one of the major reasons you've chosen these 2 plays from Townsend specifically, because of the comedy value that it gives?
Well, it's partly that as well, and I think it's the themes as well, because although they are very very firmly set within 1982, a lot of the themes do resonate today quite strongly as well. You know, mention things about austerity, the sort of economic situation is very much has a relevance to the situation that people find themselves in today. But you mentioned the comedy, and I say they are first and foremost comedies, and I think that's what what attracted us to them in you know, primarily. I mean, you know, Sue Townsend is probably mostly known for the Adrian Mole books, and which are excellent. And I think perhaps plays have been slightly marginalised as a result of that. But they are you know, they are excellent plays. They are, you know, written to the same kind of standards that Adrian Mole was created to.
Do you each have a favourite, or do you prefer the one that you're specifically directing?
I think I'd have to say I prefer the one I'm directing, because I've got that familiarity with it anyway, from having been having acted in it before. But I'm not biased in any way at all.
It's hard to say. I don't know them. I don't know Groping for Words as well as Phil, to kind of, obviously, because I've not seen them rehearse it, and I didn't know it beforehand. Yeah, so probably like them both equally. I think they're different. I mean, being longer, Groping for Words always has a bit more of that kind of character development, whereas Boomerang is kind of a short, sharp, and much more about the comedy.
Yes, they are quite different in the way they're presented.
But I must say...
Sorry, no.
I must say, Sue Townsend she just writes brilliant characters. They're all very real. So even though it's really short and we don't kind of get so much background to them in Boomerang,
but they're all believable. Yeah. They're all even the ones who don't have many lines. You know what sort of person that character is. You know, they're sketched in really well. It
all sounds very interesting. How would people then that sort of aren't really involved at the moment, but have thought about it maybe, or haven't even thought about it, how can they get involved?
Oh, we'd love to get new members involved, be it acting, production, even directing side as well. And they just need to contact us, don't they?
Yeah, the best way is probably through the Facebook page. So if you just search for Midland Players on Facebook, you'll find us.
That's the easiest way.
If you don't do Facebook, I've got to think of the email address now. If you don't do Facebook, best thing at the moment is to email our ticket sales email, which is tickets@midlandplayers.co.uk, and you can buy tickets there as well. And we can get you in touch with all the right people to get involved.
Brilliant stuff. Thank you. We talked to you all day about this, but thank you very much for coming in. We've got Catherine and Phil there, and their plays start on the 25th next Wednesday.
Yes.
Brilliant stuff. So get yourself down to the University of Sheffield Drama Studio and see those plays for yourself. We're just about out of time for this week's show this week, but we can take a quick look at the social media and see what you've all been talking about. I mentioned the Sarah Kane into the session at the Crucible that's coming to an end this weekend. John Hunter has tweeted, really enjoyed Sarah Kane's Crave at the Crucible Theatre last night. Rhythmic and troubling. Great talk back after two. Sounds very interesting. Tamar Millen has tweeted, I was just 100% treated and it was wonderful. And that was about the Sarah Key season, saying it was stunning. Looking ahead to the Festival of Debate as well, talking about yesterday's debate on Generation Rent. Christian Hill has tweeted, a bit dark, but the debate was light, active and informative. So some brilliant tweets there. So get involved. I'm afraid that's all we've got time for on today's edition of What's On. Don't forget, tune in to Sheffield Live every weekday from 6 p.m. for more events and listings, and get involved in something going on in and around the Steel City. What's On at sheffieldlive.org is the address you need to tell us all about any event that you wish for us to cover, and you can of course visit us on Facebook and Twitter. The news is up next. A very good evening.